Happy Black History Month, everyone. My name is Shaquila, aka Chef Shaq, and today we're going to be making a homemade whipped cream as well as some homemade beignets to go along with it. Now, throughout this entire process, I'm going to give you guys a couple black facts, maybe that you didn't know, so you can learn something, learn a new recipe, and learn something about Black history. Without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so we're going to get into these ingredients for the homemade whipped cream. We have two different types of heavy whipping cream. I have them on ice because they have to be as cold as possible. If they are not, this whipped cream will not go well. So we have that. We're going to need about 2 cups of the heavy whipping cream. We also have about 3/4 cup of powdered sugar. And then we have our 3 different flavors of vanilla. This is what's gonna make this recipe pop. We have a butter vanilla professional strength. We have a Madagascar vanilla bean paste and a clear vanilla flavor. Okay, and these are our ingredients for our homemade beignets. We have about 1/4 of a cup of granulated sugar. We have 4 tablespoons of melted butter. We have our pack of instant yeast, 1 large egg. We're going to use 1 teaspoon of salt, 4 cups of all-purpose flour, and 1.5 cups of lukewarm milk. Now I used 2% milk, but you can use whole milk. Now another very important thing that I forgot to tell you guys is the mixing bowl that we're going to make our homemade whipped cream in. For about 15 to 30 minutes before you start, you want to put this in the freezer because we want this to be cold as well. This is going to help. Okay, so we're going to pour about 2 cups of heavy whipping cream in here. Shake it up a bit. I'm gonna go a little over 2 cups, just about 2 1/4 of a cup, because I used a little bit of extra powdered sugar. So go ahead and put that in your bowl. Great. Okay. Then we're gonna take our powdered sugar. Go ahead and dump that in there. Now, we're gonna get our teaspoons of vanilla. Most important part. If you can get 3 different kind of vanillas, definitely do it because it will take your homemade whipped cream to the next level. Get a teaspoon of the vanilla bean paste. As you can see those beautiful vanilla beans in there. It's gonna taste so delicious. Alright. Alrighty, so once you get all the ingredients inside the bowl, you wanna put your mixer down and you wanna start on a low speed. Just 1. You're gonna watch everything kind of get incorporated. This process is gonna take about 5 minutes. So about every minute you want to pick up that speed. So the main thing we want to remember as we pick up speed and we watch our whipped cream come together, we're looking for those peaks and valleys. That's how we know that it's done. It's still watery, obviously. It's only been about 1.5 minutes, but that's what we're looking for. We're looking for peaks and valleys in our whipped cream. So I've now picked it up to one of the highest speeds. I think it's number 5. And it's just about ready. I can see it thickening, but it may require another minute or two. So just be patient with it. Alrighty, so it's been about 5 or 6 minutes, and you see those peaks and valleys looking good. You see that vanilla bean? Yes, okay. Time to go ahead and transfer it. Alrighty, so we're gonna transfer our whipped cream into a bowl. Look at that, people. Oh my gosh. Amazing. It looks like we may have to use 2 bowls. But for this, take a look. It's amazing, guys. Perfect. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and put the top on this. We'll put it in the refrigerator, make our beignets, and then we'll pair the two. It's gonna be amazing. All right, now let's get into these beignets. Now, if you guys remember from the whipped cream ingredients, I use Madagascar vanilla bean paste. I'm gonna use that as well in this ingredients, as well as the butter vanilla professional strength. I'm gonna use 1 teaspoon of each, so 2 teaspoons. Okay, first things first, let's take our lukewarm milk and we're gonna pour it in the bowl. Okay. And then we're gonna open up our active yeast. Alrighty. Sprinkle that in there. All of it, make sure we get all of that. And then we're gonna let this bad boy sit for 2 minutes. Put on a timer. Okay, so after about 2 minutes, this is what your yeast and milk should look like. And now what we're gonna add is our 4 tablespoons of butter, melted butter. Okay, we're gonna add 1/4 cup of sugar. Okay, and now we're gonna add our vanilla paste. And then we're gonna add the professional strength butter vanilla. Alright, perfect. Now we're gonna need to mix this in our mixer. Just mix it up pretty well. Okay, so now that we have this on the mixer stand, go ahead and put that bad boy down. And just 1 or 2 scoops. Just mix those up pretty well. That's all you want to do. Don't want to over mix it. Just about 30 seconds to a minute. All right, now that we got that mixed pretty well, we're gonna go ahead and lift up our mixer. Take this off. And then we're gonna switch to the dough one. I wanna spray mine just to make sure that it does not stick. Okay. And now we're gonna add our 4 cups of all-purpose flour. You do not have to sift it. If you want to, you can. It's not required. 1 egg. And then 1 teaspoon of salt. Wipe this out. Now what we want to do is bring this down, put it on low speed, and we're just going to have it form our dough for us. It'll take about 3 to 5 minutes to form our dough nice and good.
In 1849, a slave by the name of Henry Box Brown mailed himself from Richmond, Virginia, to an anti-slavery office in Philly. It took 26 hours, and he later became a public speaker and an abolitionist.
Okay, so now that it's been about 5 minutes and our dough has been kneading for that amount of time, I'll go ahead and get it off. Looking good. Now always remember, guys, if you do not have one of these mixers, you can knead it by hand. It went about 5 minutes, so you would just constantly knead the dough for about 5 minutes. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so now that we got our dough nice and kneaded, what we're gonna do is we're gonna place plastic wrap over the top. And then you're gonna place a towel over the top. Now, what you wanna do is put this in a warm place for about 2 hours because we need it to rise. So what I like to do is I like to turn on my stove and I'll just sit my mixer bowl right next to it. Okay, so it's been about 2 hours now, and your dough should have doubled in size. So the first thing we want to do is punch down the dough to remove some of that excess air. It's going to stick to you a bit. Don't worry about that. All right. So you want to take him out and put him on a floured surface. Okay. So you got the flour all over. And now you can go ahead and make sure that you put enough flour on your rolling pin and then go ahead and roll it out.
On March 2nd, 1955, 9 months before Rosa Parks launched the bus boycott, Claudette Colvin, 15 years old, refused to move to the back of the bus. Her story isn't well known because the NAACP and other black leaders felt Rosa Parks was a better icon for the movement than a teenager.
Okay, now that you have your dough rolled out, it should be about 12 to 14 or 15 inches long. You want to go ahead and cut them into rectangles.
The first licensed black female pilot was named Bessie Coleman.
All right, guys, so now that you've rolled out your dough, you've cut it out, go ahead and let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes while you go ahead and get your hot oil ready. So your oil, you want to make sure that it's at least 350 degrees. That's going to give these puppies a good brown color.
Did you know there is a black man by the name of Ken Johnson who created a card game called Phase 10, much like the Uno game that we play today?
So I'm going to be using a deep fryer to fry my beignets. Now you're more than welcome to use a cast iron skillet if you like. And then of course you'd have to use the thermometer to tell when it gets to 350 degrees, but I'm just going to use the deep fryer. Okay, so once your beignets have rested for 10 to 15 minutes, you want to make sure, if you haven't already, and make sure flour is on the front and the back of the beignet, because we are going to stack them on top of each other. Another little tidbit I want to let you guys know, because I did forget to do it, is always spray the bowl that the dough is in while it's rising, or it will stick like mine did. So my fellow bakers will definitely understand. So you have your beignets, and you want to go ahead and line them up in the fryer. Now people, do not walk away from these while they're frying, or you might get some really black beignets, and we're going for a golden brown color, okay?
Mansa Musa I of Mali, a black man who lived from 1280 to 1337, is the richest human being in history with a personal net worth of 400 billion. So now I did them about 1 to 2 minutes on each side, and I'm picking them up out the grease. Okay, so I let them drain for about 1 to 2 minutes. And now I'm gonna put them over here on a paper towel so that any additional grease can go ahead and get off. And now we got some beignets. But don't go anywhere. Let's not forget the powdered sugar. Okay, now that you got your beignets out your oil, you're gonna let them rest. But let me show you guys. You want it to be flaky and golden brown, just like this. This is perfect. And something that's very ironic is that this one formed somewhat of a heart, and today is Valentine's Day. I might give it to my sweetheart. All right. Okay, so now that we have our beignets plated, we're gonna do the best part, which is the powdered sugar. And we like a lot here in this house, but you can do however much you desire. Perfect. Okay, so now that we have our beignets, I went ahead and got out our whipped cream that we made earlier. And I went ahead and put it in this little platter because I like to dip my beignets in whipped cream. I don't know about y'all. The real Betty Boop was a black woman by the name of Esther Jones. She was a famous jazz singer. Okay, so now what we have here is our beignets doused in powdered sugar. We have our whipped cream, and I made gumbo yesterday, so I thought I'd just put all three of these things together. And we are having a party in our mouth. Let's go. This is great. Let's try beignets with a little bit of whipped cream. Let's not forget the whipped cream, y'all.
How are we supposed to?
I'm telling y'all. I'm telling y'all. This is good.
Video.
That's good. That's amazing. Not just good, amazing.
See, my mama would have been and cussed you out. You're getting powdered sugar.